What's going on, everyone? So Ascension has been fully spoiled, and that means I can now go over the full set in review. So I'm going to have a little 6-part series here where I go over each of the colors and also the Argents and give my opinion on how the cards are going to play out in the upcoming formats. We got a lot of new things to discuss. And today we're going to start off with green because it's been the least played color since the game has come out, but now they get a bunch of new toys. So Iton and Ariana, definitely happy. So the format I'm going to be doing today is going to be based around the champions. Basically, we got a bunch of green cards. Some fit with Iton as their champion, some fit with Ariana as their champion, and then some of them are just good generic green cards. So I'm going to be discussing in that kind of format. First up, though, we're going to go over the cards that I think are better with Iton as their champion. So the first card we're looking at today is Cloud Sea Jumper. It's a 1-cost unit with 500 power, and it's a Sky Raider. And it says, reveal this card from your hand, put this card from your hand into play, and if you do, draw a card. Use only if an airship unit you controlled was put into the discard zone this turn. So a very nice addition for Iton strategies, for sure. Iton specializes in sacrificing its own units to ramp up into something bigger, so you get to your higher units a lot faster in Iton. The problem with that is usually whenever you're sacrificing something, you lose a little bit of card advantage. But the nice thing is with any of your airship units, most of them have a ruined ability that whenever they're destroyed or sacrificed with Iton's ability, they're going to bring something back from the discard zone. So very nice. And then the fact that whenever you do sacrifice an airship unit, you get to reveal this card from your hand and put it into play for free, while also replacing itself and drawing a card. This is definitely going to be an addition in any Iton strategy. I don't know how many are going to be played. It does have some decent competition in Skyship Engineer and then Sky Recruit, but I do really like this additional option for sure. Moving on, we have Cloud Sea Offensive Formation. It's a 1-cost spell with Instacast, and it says play only while you control an airship unit, destroy target unit, or augment. I think this card is really good. The fact that we got that 2-cost airship really makes this card playable for sure, because the Scoutship is a 3-of in any kind of Iton strategy for sure. Being able to play this at instacast speed makes it really good already. And then the fact that you can destroy any unit or augment for the cost of 1 is really nice. And with Omega units being introduced, not having any kind of cost restriction or power restriction definitely makes this card playable. I think you're going to see a lot of this in any kind of Iton strategy. So the next card we're looking at actually fits well into Ariana strategies as well. I just mention it here because it revolves around Sky Raider and airship units, and like I've mentioned, Iton does pretty well with the airship units, but it can be used in either strategy. But either way, it's Cloud Sea Preparation, 4-cost spell that says add target Sky Raider and target airship unit from your discard zone to your hand. If you play 2 or more other cards this turn, you may put them into play instead. So, airships, like I said, played in Iton more, so you're going to have this live more so in Iton than in Ariana. But playing 2 or more cards the same turn is something that Ariana, I think, does better as a strategy than Iton. But if you do get this off in either of them, it's going to be nuts. Obviously, your prime target for this is going to be Konost. If you can pitch it with Kite to the discard zone and then have any other kind of Sky Raider in there like Skyship Engineer, you can also have Ella in there as well. You have a lot of really good targets for this card, and for a 4-cost, this card could be very, very good. I'm really hyped on this card. I don't know how well it's going to play after testing, but just looking at it, you know, in a blender is, man, I'm really excited about this card, and I'd like to build some kind of strategy around it because turn 4 Konost seems pretty awesome. So now we're going to look at it in Omega unit. This is Overgrown Sabretooth. It's a 3-cost unit with 3,000 power. It has the unblockable ability, so Guardians can't block it. And then it also has a ruined ability that allows you to recover up to 2 of your shards. I think this fits best in Iton because of that ruined ability. You can sacrifice it whenever you want to recover up to 2 of your shards, which is very nice. as the community has discussed a little bit, Omega units have a bunch of different rulings around them, but the big one is whenever they're put into play, they can attack that turn. So this card can come in, attack, and then you can sacrifice it with Iton to recover up to 2 of your shards, ramp up into something that's 4 cost, and then also have shards open now on your opponent's turn to ramp up even more. So 3 into a 4, maybe something like Nanatsu, destroy something, and then also ramp up into a Garga to bounce stuff. It just opens up a lot of plays. Iton has a lot of really cool new toys in this set, and I think that deck is going to be hard to play just because you're going to have so many options, which in this game you already have tons of options, and one kind of misplay can make you lose the game. So Iton players, man, they really got to think about stuff, but they definitely have a lot of toys to open up some new strategies, and Overgrown Sabretooth is a really nice addition to those for sure. So I know I already touched on C Scoutship in my original spoiler video, but I did also mention that I didn't know all of the cards in the set yet, so I was kind of looking at this in a vacuum. But now that I've seen all of the other green cards, this card has gotten much better. We just talked about the Instacast card that allows you to destroy any unit or augment on the field for a cost of 1. Very nice with this edition being a 2-cost unit, so you can make that card live. You're also going to be playing 3 of these because you can keep scaling down with the other airships that you have in Iton strategies to keep bringing this back onto the field, looking at the top card of your opponent's deck, and then also after it's ruined, get back any kind of Sky Raider unit. So really liking this card, just wanted to touch on that. I think it's gotten even better, and I think it's going to be a 3-up for sure in Iton strategies. So the last card that I think specifically pairs well with Iton is Boreas Cloudsea Enforcer. It's a 5-cost unit with 4,000 power. It is an Omega unit and an airship. One thing to note is this Omega unit requires it to be placed on top of a Sky Raider unit, whereas the Sabretooth required just an air unit, so it's a little more restrictive, but not really a problem, in my opinion, for any kind of Iton strategy. You're going to be recycling your Sky Raiders often. It does have unblockable, so Guardians can't block it. It also says put a unit under this card into the discard zone. This card gains Immortal this turn, so it can't be destroyed by effects or damage. And then it also has a ruined ability that you can put into play a Sky Raider or Airship with cost 4 or less. So a lot of things here, a lot of text. Unblockable's cool. The Immortal ability is nice, and the ruined ability is definitely the best part of it. I was a little disappointed with this card, to be honest. It's just this big, beefy thing that is going to destroy 1 tower, and whenever it's destroyed, it replaces itself. Being immortal, it's not a huge threat on board. It doesn't have Destroyer. So, I don't know. This card, it's good, for sure. Any kind of Omega unit that I've seen is pretty good, but I was a little disappointed with it. I was hoping to recover shards or something of that nature. But anyway, that's just my thought on it. I think you still play it, but I wish it did more. Ironically, with all that text, I just think that the texts don't really make it a big threat. So now let's talk about some cards that I think fit better in an Ariana strategy. The first one is Kala, Best Friends Forever, 1-cost unit, 500 power. It says this card's name is always treated as Kala, Trusty Companion, so that means you can add it to your hand with Ariana's effect at the beginning of the game. And then it says sacrifice this card, target unit you control gains Immortal this turn. So a lot of utility in this little guy. It definitely replaces the original Kala, which is terrible. The only thing that the original Kala was useful for was breaking the Wind and Fire Tower. But based on the versatility of this guy, I think he's the instant add over the original Kala. And I think you for sure play 1. Of course, you get to add it to your hand for free. And also being able to sacrifice it to save any unit, it doesn't need to be an air unit, is a very nice addition to the Ariana strategy. So very nice to have this furry little guy on your team. I also like the art, how he's taken the bullet for Ariana to stop Medial. So very cool. So moving on, we have Cloudsea Beast Tamer. It's a 3-cost unit with 1,500 power, Sky Raider. And it has an arrive ability that says if you've played at least 2 other cards this turn, you may search your deck for a beast unit with cost 2 or less and put it into play. So these air cards that require you to play 2 other cards before cards get an effect, I think fit better into Ariana because Ariana utilizes Kite better than Iton. I think you can play a mono green strategy, and with Kite, you're able to recover your shards, which allow you to play more cards per turn. So I think cards like that fit better into Ariana. Ariana gives you a +2 at the very beginning of the game, with Ariana's Amulet and Kala adding to your hand. And then on top of that, she has Ariana's Resolve, which is a crazy card. Gets you back Ariana's Amulet. It lets you bring Kala from your discard zone back onto the field, and then also search an Ariana or Ira unit. So a lot of value for a really low cost and allowing you to play multiple cards per turn. So I think Cloud Sea, Beast Tamer, and cards like it fit better into Ariana for that reason. Now, Beast Tamer on his own is very nice. It allows you to add some pretty good units from your deck directly to the field. Stuff like Sky Treehawk is a very nice card to target because he can attack and then also be returned to hand to draw 2 cards whenever you return him with Kite or maybe Guiding Winds, anything of that nature. This can also bring out stuff like Raging Shard Beast, which is very cool. It can bring out Arbor Carbuncle. There's a lot of targets for it. And then the next card we're going to talk about is also a target. But I do like this card in Ariana strategies, at least a one of. I don't know how many more you'd play, but I do like this as an option. So the next card we're looking at is Cloud Sea Flying Squirrel Guy. I'm not going to try and pronounce that second word. It's a 2-cost unit with 1,000 power, and it's a beast unit. And it reads, this card gets +500 while you control another beast unit, and this card gains quickness while you control a Sky Raider unit. So the card that we just looked at, the Beast Tamer guy, can bring this directly out from the deck to the field, and it will have quickness that turn. Very nice. And then on top of that, if you control any other beast unit, it's going to get +500, so it's going to be able to break any tower. This card is really good. It adds some really neat tricks to Ariana and some surprise attacks to close out games. Not much more to say about this. I think you definitely play one just for that option to bring it out from the deck. If you wanted to play more just because of the quickness, it's very easy to get quickness for this card. It's definitely warranted. So really nice common card for green with Iton or Ariana strategies, but I think it fits nicer into Ariana. So the last card we're looking at for Ariana strategy specifically is Ariana herself, Ariana Celestially Imbued. It's a 4-cost, 4,000 power Omega unit. Legendary hero, so you can only run one of her. And like I mentioned, she is an Omega, and she needs to be put on top of an Ariana unit. Now, this is very restrictive. We only have 2 types of Ariana units. One of them is absolutely terrible, and you should never play. And then the second one is good. It's a 3-cost brawler that whenever it's ruined, you can add an Iton unit to your hand. But 1,500 power is kind of weak for a 3-cost, and your opponent is going to be looking to kill it immediately because the fact that you could have this stinking bomb in your hand for next turn is very scary. So she has target attack and unblockable, and her effects read, whenever this card attacks, recover up to 2 of your shards, and if you do, draw a card for each shard you recovered this way, and then you can expel her, and until your next turn, your towers cannot be destroyed. So this card's so good. I love this card, and I think it's exactly what green needed. I do think you can play this in an Iton strategy, but the fact that you can search this card off of Ariana's Resolve gives it so much value to be played in Ariana, while also getting the additional benefits of Amulet and Kala, and so on. But the effect that whenever it attacks, you get to recover shards would have been good just to recover shards, but the fact that you get to draw 2 cards as well is so cool. And then the expel ability is really unique. We haven't seen that so far, and to just be able to do it on command is really nice, and definitely, you know, come in a pinch. So I really like this. Target attack and unblockable. You know, you're going to be able to pretty much snipe out any kind of kill you want with this card. And 4 cost is really nice for all of those powerful effects. So she's definitely warranted of the secret rare rarity. And I'm really excited to build decks based around this card for sure. So now we're just going to look at the more generic green cards. These can be played in either Ariana or Iton. The first one's Final Battle at the Argent Tower, 6-cost spell. That reads, for each of your destroyed towers, you may recover target unit, and for each of your opponent's destroyed towers, you may exhaust target unit. Recovered units this way get plus 1,000, and exhausted units this way get minus 1,000 this turn. So, interesting card. It's kind of like Royal Command a little bit, where you get to unexhaust your units, and they get plus 1,000. But it also has the additional benefit of exhausting units, and then also possibly destroying them if their power goes down to 0 with the minus 1,000. So it's interesting, but it's situational, so I really don't think this card's going to be played. It is interesting, though, and it's a great target for Mayu. And what we'll see here in a little bit is there are some cards in here that want you to play green and blue together. So being able to splash in Mayu and grabbing this and playing it for free would be really neat. But other than that, I don't know how often this would be played. So next we have Cosmic Air Magic. It's a 2-cost spell with Instacast, and it reads, this card costs 1 less to play for each face-up air tower, so it can essentially be free if both wind towers are destroyed. And then it says, the next arrive ability does not trigger this turn. It's a very interesting card. The fact that it can be free is nice. There are some really strong arrive abilities in the game, and also in this set for sure. Being able to turn off an eccentric visitor is really cool. Also, being able to stop Mayu, or, there's a bunch of cards in the game that have really strong arrive abilities. This card is situational, but I think playing it as a one-of is definitely not bad, considering it can be free. All of the colors in this set actually get their own cosmic card. It's kind of like the Omega spells, but in this set it's cosmic. So yeah, interesting little card for sure. Being able to stop arrive abilities is definitely not a bad thing. Next up we have Hidden Dragon of the Cloud Seats, 7-cost unit, 3,500 power, and it's a dragon. It has an arrive ability that says if you've played at least 2 other cards this turn, put into play 2 Cloud Dragon tokens that have quickness, so they have 1,000 power and they're air. You can also pay 3, discard this card from your hand, put into play a Cloud Dragon token that has quickness, so you get to make 1 by paying 3. It's a very interesting card. 7 cost is very high. So ideally, you would have 9 shards open, play 2 1-cost units, and then play this to get its arrive ability, and then they'll have quickness. That first effect is very situational, and it's very high cost. If he had quickness, I think my opinion on him would be a little different. But the fact that he doesn't, and you only get to play 2 units that have quickness, it makes the requirements for that effect, I think, a little too high. But anyway, the pay 3, discard him, and create a token that has quickness, I think is where he's going to get value. Being able to make something that has quickness for only 3 is one of your cheapest ways to get quickness without any kind of additional requirements. We do have cards that have quickness at a lower cost, like Reckless Shard Beast, but you need to destroy one of your towers. It needs to be face down. You also have the Flying Squirrel guy that we just talked about, but he also needs a Sky Raider. So 3 cost for a quickness monster is a really nice way to close out a game, some kind of surprise attack. So he does have value there, but his actual arrive ability I don't think is very valuable. So the last card we're looking at today is Celestial Team Up. It's a 4-cost spell that says draw 2 cards. Then if you control both an air and water unit, you may put a unit from your hand into play with cost X or less, where X equals the number of cards in your hand. So this card is very powerful. This card's nuts. Being able to use Ariana Tux and then play this card is very cool. Or a Jamail Kite strategy, which we've already seen do well. I think this card is a very nice add in those strategies. Being able to cheat out something like a Mayu for 4 cost is great, and then getting this card back and then using it again and then bringing out another card is pretty nutty. Also, cheating out something like a Konost on turn 4 is awesome, because with either Jamal or Ariana as your champion, you're going to have a healthy hand size. So this card is going to be able to get out a very high cost unit for 4. Some downsides, though, obviously whenever you play this, they're going to try and destroy your air and water unit on the field, so you don't get that additional effect. You'll still draw the 2 cards, but you're getting your value from cheating a card from your hand into play for cheap. So that is just something to mention, but I think someone is going to find a way to break this card. I think it's that good, but we'll see. So anyway, that is my review of all the green cards that we got in Ascension. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are below. Like, comment, subscribe. Zeppelin out.